Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue to the last part of the refraction. Okay, so for reflection 呢，你要注意的就是怎样 sketch，还有他会问你有什么会 change，有什么不会 change，应该都没有什么，除了那个。Okay, now next one is the refraction. Okay, refraction of light. Sorry, refraction of waves. Okay, let me bring up a picture. Okay, now 来我们看这个图啊。Okay, for refraction of waves 呢，是当如果那个 wave 是 travel 从 deeper region to shallower region or shallower region to deeper region. So when there is a change in the depth, then refraction will happen. Okay, now 在 light 里面是我们学的 refraction 是什么？就是当 light 如果从 A 进glass 或者 water, anything that has different density, then the light ray will bend, right? That is the refraction of light, right? That's what we learn. So that is when there's a change in density, right? Change in density. But for waves, for water waves, guys, for water waves, refraction happens when there's a change in the depth. Okay, the depth. So look at this diagram here. So when water waves travel from the deeper region to a shallower region, so what happens? 首先，你看我们来看它的那个 wavelength. Again, what is the wavelength? It's distance between the crest and the next crest, right? So this is the crest, this is the crest, this is the crest, this is the crest. Okay, let me mark all the crests. Okay, here, 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 here. Okay. So the distance between the crest and the next crest, so the first one, wavelength. So you will notice that in the deeper region, the wavelength of the waves will be bigger, will be longer than the wavelength of the waves in the shallower region here. All right. So as soon as the water waves enters the shallower region, the wavelength will immediately decreases. Right. So you'll see here it's shorter, it's shorter, it's shorter here. Right. So what does it mean? Also, the wavelength decreases, and alongside with the wavelength, it is the speed of the wave. The speed of the wave will also decrease. 因为你看你的 formula V 等于 F lambda 对吗 ？F lambda，所以如果你的 lambda 减少，你的 V 也是会减少。Okay, that's why 如果从那个 water wave 一去 shallower region 的时候，它会慢下来。That's why 你看那种海水海水有时候他们一上岸或者 close to the shore it will slow down. It will slow down because it gets shallower and shallower. Okay, so the wavelength decreases, the speed decreases. Now, how about the frequency? How about the frequency? The frequency will be the same. Okay, 这个 frequency 是没有变的，因为那个 frequency 是 depends on 那个 source, who is creating the wave, right? So all this wave is from the same source, right? It's from the same source. We don't care what is the source, okay? But it's from the same source. So the frequency of this wave, they are all the same. Right? They are all the same. So only two things will change is the speed and the wavelength. Now, so this one, if you study the refraction of the water waves using a ripple tank, okay, using a ripple tank, you'll see this. Okay, let me show you another picture. Yeah, by the way, so this is refraction. It's the change in the direction of propagation of waves traveling from a deeper medium to a shallower medium or a shallower to a deeper medium. Okay, now let me show you one picture here showing the ripple tank. So how we study the reflection of water. Oh yeah, by the way, this one first. OK， 所以你看这个图 ，top view 跟 side view So side wheel, same thing. We have longer wavelength over here. So this is what, this is a deeper region, right? Deeper region over here. So you have a longer wavelength. And as it goes to the shallower, you have shorter wavelength. Shorter wavelength. Shorter wavelength 意思是说它的 wavefront 是比较靠近each other. Okay, the wavefront is close to each other. So when you draw the line from the top view, when we draw the line, so the line should look closer. Okay, so you see here the line all here, it looks closer to each other. Okay, so when drawing the refraction of waves, you have to be careful with this one. You have to show it to the examiner that this one you have a decrease in the wave length. Okay, wavelength. So from the top view, you should know that if the distance is further from each other, it means the deeper it is, right? The deeper it is. So this one is closer, so it enters a shallower region. The same works for the opposite. The same works for the opposite. So if we look at it the opposite way, meaning that the wave is from the right to the left. Okay, from the right to the left. So as the waves from a shallower to deeper, it will increase speed. It will move faster, and the wavelength will increase. Okay, now in a ripple tank, what if we put different an obstacle or different materials to study it, to study the refraction? Okay, look at the diagram here. Okay, so this shows a ripple tank. Now, 在中间呢，我们放一个 perspex, right? A perspex, basically a plastic lah, right? Now, so water flows through it. So you see that at the middle here, shorter wavelength, right? Now this is the top view. Okay, this is the top view. Now look at the top view. At first, okay, the flow is from the left to the right. Okay, so E line is equal distance, right? The wavelength is the same, so equal distance each line. Now, as it enters the shallower region, look at what happened. 这里 only this part of the wave enters the shallower region, correct? Okay, so pay attention to this part. You see, this wave it slows down. It slows down, it slows down, and it slows down. In fact, you will see the distance between each line here, the red mark, the distance between each one is going to be shorter. It's going to be shorter. Outside is just everything is normal. Okay, the wave that did not enter this region is going to behave normally. Okay, so continue moving with the same speed and with the same wavelength. So why do you have this curve? Okay, 如果你看这个curve to the backwards, looks like a C. It looks like a letter C. It curves backward is because this is a shallow region, right? So shallow region means the water wave will travel slower, right? So the speed decreases. That's why it left behind. The wave inside here is being left behind. Okay, so as all the wave exits the shallow region, okay, and moves to the deep region on the right, so you'll see the wave front changes. The wave front changed already. It looks like complete new shape, right? Because this middle part of the wave has gone through a refraction. Okay, so the speed slows down and now it's catching up. Now it's catching up. So that's why you will get like the C shape. Okay, so if you replace this object with different shapes, what happened? This is a rectangular, right? 长方形啊。如果我用不同的 shape 呢，你会看到像这样子。The first example, this one. Okay, so for example, 如果我用一个像 convex lens 的glass， 对啊，所以这个是一样啊，一模一样啊，我也是放 ，OK， 这个是 top view 嘛，对不对 ？top view， 它的 side view 就是这样子，我的 ripple tank 在下面 ，OK， 我的 ripple tank， 然后我的 convex lens 我放在这边 ，and this is my water flow, right? So I view from the top. So what happened? You see the waves now. Incoming waves, it incoming waves。当它一走进那个 convex lens 的 region 啊，也就是那个 shallower region 啊，so this region is shallower, right? It's shallower 啊，比较浅啊。所以 what happened is this part of the wave starts to slow first. The red shaded part, it starts to slow first because you see the convex is like the wave enters here first. Okay, the wave enters here first. So this part, the middle part starts to slow down first. That's why you get a curve. Okay, that's why you get a curve because the middle part starts to slow down first, right? And you get another curve, another curve. Okay, so you can see also the wavelength is shorter inside here. And what happens as it exits? Also, the middle part is the last one to exit, right? So the middle section of the wave is the last one to exit the shallow region. That's why you get a even more curve. All right, you get an even more curve, and slowly you will see that it converges to one point. It converges to one point. This is also refraction, but I changed the shape of the refractor. OK， 所以它是跟那个 light 一样哦。你看啊 ，for concave lens 啊，我们需要concave lens what happens when the light strikes it？ Light 经过 concave lens 它会 converge 对吗？它会 converge 去 focal point 啊。They all focus on one focal point. So same for the water. Same. They also will converge. Okay, they converge. So this is for convex. How about concave? Okay, concave. Now I have another picture. Concave. Okay, so this one, the same thing. So from here, which part of the wave enters the shallow region first? The edges, right? The edges. The edges enters the shallow region first. That's why it curves like this. Okay, so the middle one is faster. Okay, so it curves like this, like this tree, right? And same thing, inside, exit. Also, the middle part exit first. The middle part of the wave. I mean, the middle part of the wave is like this shaded region over here. Only the middle part of the wave front. The middle part of the wave front. So you will see, this is diverging, diverging. So it spread outward, Same as the light, because light passes through a concave, they diverge, right? Light passes through the concave, they diverge like this. Okay, now refraction, deeper to shallow water. Look at the diagram. So first thing, if you are asked to find the angle of refraction or angle of incident, how do you find it? Because here you have so many lines, right? So many lines, sometimes it's confusing. How do I find the angle? The way to find it is first, you draw the propagation line. Okay, the propagation direction. Again, how do we draw it? We draw a straight line and we make sure that this straight line is perpendicular. I repeat, I make sure that this straight line is perpendicular to all the wavefront. Okay, so I draw it like this. Doesn't matter where you draw it, you can draw it here or middle, or here also can. Okay, I just line up with this point here. Line up with this point here. Okay, so first you draw the direction of propagation now, and then after the refraction, so you see this glass plate, right? The shallow water region. So after the refraction, the direction change, right? The direction change. 所以我再画到一个 line for the refracted one. Now this one, I have to make sure again this red line is 90 degree. It's 90 degree to the wavefront. Okay, so here is, let me draw it. Here is 90 degree. and here is also 90 degrees. Okay, and then where is the normal? The normal is always perpendicular to the surface. Okay, kind of like this, perpendicular to the surface. 青色啦，青色那个是我的 normal. Okay, now here is the important thing. Here's the important thing. Now, here you got a change in direction, correct? 刚才我 show 你的那种 example 是没有方向的变化，对不对？没有转方向，对不对？全部是走直直走直直啊。可是这个是它会转方向，因为你有一个incline the reflector 啊，so you see the reflector here is slanted, not straight. All right. So here now for deep water to shallow water 当那个 wave 走从 deep water 去 shallow water 的时候是那个 speed 是 decrease 还是 increase? Right down here. Deep to shallow. On your right. The speed decreases, correct? The speed decreases and the wavefront decreases. Okay. Now, speed decreases. So what happens to the direction? Does it bend towards or away from the normal? 我们看回那个 light 那边，给在左边啊，我画一个，这个是 glass， 这个是 A enters the glass. What happens to the light? Okay, so incoming A strikes the glass. Does it bend towards or away from the normal? So we know that glass is denser, right? Glass is denser, so less dense to denser, it bends towards the normal. Now, in other way to see it, the other way to see it is because of the speed reduced. That's why it bends towards the normal. So the speed of light reduced and it bends towards normal. Okay, so the keyword is that the speed of light reduced bends towards normal. 所以如果我 for water wave 呢，从 deep 去 shallow speed reduce 对吗 ？speed reduce， 所以它发生什么事？它 bend towards normal。同样的 concept，so bends towards normal. Okay, so you see from the diagram, this one, the picture, the black line after refraction, it bends towards the normal. So the red one is closer to the normal. The original path of the black line is like here, right? This is the original path. Let me do it in dotted. Okay, so this is original path. Bends towards the normal. Now, same thing. Conversely, if from shallow to deep, it bends away. Okay, that's it. Okay, last one. Last one in refraction is you need to know how to sketch it, just like reflection. Okay, so again, for reflection and refraction, 你要知道怎样画那个位置啊。So 这里我也是有一个 example. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay. Okay, we still have 15 minutes. Let me finish this. Okay. Okay, refraction of plane waves. Circular wave 我们不需要了，只是 plane wave 而已我们画。Okay， 左边的 diagram 是从 deeper 去 shallower。Okay， first step 我们要做什么 ？First step 我们要画那个 propagation direction。Okay， propagation direction. So I mark the midpoint, this one and this one. 然后我画我的 direction. Make sure it is perpendicular to the ray like this. Okay, this is your first job. Now, second, draw the normal. So normal is the green line, like this. 过后呢 deeper 去 shallower, deeper 去 shallower， 所以 speed 是减少。speed 减少，它就会 bend towards the normal。所以我的 blue line like this. Okay, like this. Now after that, I draw my wavefront. Right, I draw my wavefront. So 这里我画 make sure 我的 wavefront 是 perpendicular 跟我的 direction 啊。Now the length doesn't really matter lah, okay? But of course you don't write like too short like this too long, okay? You kind of make it seems like the same lah, make it seem like the same. Okay, so like this, and make sure this is 90 degree. Okay, this one. OK， 你可以不用画那个在 boundary 这边，因为在 boundary 这边会很复杂。OK， 在 boundary 这边会很复杂，因为它可能会这样子，比如说你的 wave 到这边是，然后它第二个 wave 它会这样子，好像可以折断这样子啦。Yeah, this is very complicated lah to draw. You can draw it, but it's not necessarily lah. Okay, so you can draw like this. Like this. So 90 degree, and then draw the next two wavefront. Okay, now here is the thing you're going to be careful 啊，因为那个 speed 减少，对不对 ？speed 减少，所以我一定要 make sure 我的 wavelength 是比较短，所以我要画靠近一点那个 wavefront。OK， 所以这样子，然后这样子。So you have to show two things you have to show. First is the direction changes. Second thing is you have to show that the distance between each wavefront is now shorter. It's now shorter. Okay, so after you finish, what you do? Erase it. Okay, you can erase it or you can leave it. Okay, but usually I'll erase it. Okay, you erase it like this. This is the refraction. Okay, now 我放回去了，给你看。Okay, so this is the first one. Now second one. From shallower to deeper, again we are going to draw the propagation line here and here, and we draw a line. Make sure it's perpendicular. Okay, so my normal, this refracted line. Okay, so away from the normal, right? Away from the normal because speed increases. And then I complete the diagram with the wavelength. One. And now it has to be longer. Two. And the third one. Yep, so this is how we sketch the wave diagram of refraction. Okay, so I will send these two sketching just for you to practice this one. Okay, so later you go back and you try to sketch it yourself. It looks easy, sometimes the sketching looks easy, but actually it's not easy. When you really sketch it, when you really measure the distance, all that, it's not that easy. It's a little bit complicated. you have to try and sketch it yourself. Try and sketch it yourself.